A few months ago, I was given an opportunity to do a tour for a few students and teachers from Colombia. After introducing ourselves, they found out that I was from a royal family and were intrigued about knowing the architecture and history behind my traditional Balinese castle. During the tour, we stopped a few times for questions, and one of the teachers asked me something I've never really thought about. She asked, by any chance, could I be the queen one day? That moment, I looked at my mother, who was beside me, assisting the tour. She then responded, not really. From then, curiosity started smoldering inside me. Not because I wanted to be the queen, but simply because I was curious. Why not me? Was it because I was a girl? Or maybe because there were other cousins of mine who are better suited for this role? Well, to answer my question and free the curiosity that was pleading to be freed, I asked the person who knew more about this than anyone else, the king himself. Lucky as well for me, that king is my grandfather. That night, I asked him if there had ever been a queen. He then told me that his mother was the only queen that had ever ruled the area other than a king. I felt relieved knowing that at least one female had held over the throne. But then he told me why she had become the queen. Long story short, her husband was supposed to take over the throne, but sadly, fate took a turn. He passed away before he could become the king. My grandfather was in grade 3 at the time, with his 2 older sisters who weren't much older either. So my great-grandmother was left with no choice but to step in to not cut ties for the next generation. During this discussion, he stated that there are a few rules that are different when a female takes over and when a male takes over. When a female wants to take over the throne, they cannot marry anyone before or after taking over the throne, while males can marry as many times as they want. My grandfather, for example, married 3 different women before becoming the king of Sibangkaja. This inspired me to begin my research into gender inequality, more specifically, gender inequality in Indonesia. According to an article posted by the Jakarta Post, Indonesia's gender inequality index is among the highest of the Asian countries. According to the United Nations, Indonesia is the 85th out of 149 countries in the gender gap rank. Despite having the same level of education, Indonesian women and men still experience significant wage differences, with women earning 59.27% of what their male counterparts with the same level of education bring home. I am sure you have heard of the amazing work that Bali Street Mom has done for women in Bali. They discuss the tragic cycle, where mothers are forced to take their children to cities due to the fact that their villages up in the mountains have no water, no schools, no hospitals, and no income. Sadly, this can result in their children having to beg for pennies 12 hours a day, alone on the busy streets, leaving them vulnerable to sex trafficking. This is how my quest journey started, my curiosity paving the way. My research into gender inequality, fueled by my conversation with my grandfather, is the reason why I'm standing here today, presenting my project and journey to all of you. Through my research, my quest idea began to bloom. I wanted to help. I wanted to shine a light on an extraordinary organization that offers support and fights for the human rights of people in Indonesia. And that is how I discovered this organization. Rumah Faye is an Indonesian-based children organization. They offer amazing programs to protect and save children from human trafficking, violence, and exploitation. When I got in contact with Faye, the founder of Rumah Faye, she was delighted by my intention to support her foundation through donating. I was overjoyed when I received a response from Faye herself. It lit a fire within me, and I felt the responsibility to do the best as I could to support this organization. But the question was, how could I help? How could I utilize my passion for fashion to help this organization? The first and only thing that popped in my head was fashion. At the age of 6, fashion planted a seed of hope and intrigue in my heart. From seeing my favorite cartoon characters from the Wings Club wearing weird and unique clothes had always encouraged me to experiment with the clothes I wanted to wear. From fashion trends throughout history, international brands, and just the unique and diverse form of art you can find in fashion have always sent jolts of excitement through my veins. But realizing in which form of fashion that I would like my project to be about took some time. There were weeks of not knowing exactly how I wanted to inject my passion for fashion into my project. It was on a casual Wednesday afternoon. My grandmother had offered me to find in her closet for some older clothes collection of hers to donate to my neighbor's daughter. There in her closet, I found a stack of beautiful sarongs that she hadn't worn in years and had just been sitting there, waiting to be worn again. These sarongs had extraordinary patterns on them. Some sarongs had a verdant color base with a peacock bird displayed on them, while some had the exotic bird of paradise, also known as cendrawasih bird, and some more classical design like undak and batik. My grandmother then kindly offered me these hidden treasures. My brain started to bubble with ideas of how I might transform the array of textile into something people might wear again. And for my answer, I decided to make bags out of them. At the start, creating my bags was quite difficult. I couldn't sew my bags together at home, since the only access to sewing machine I had was the one from school. I also didn't have much time to experiment with designs and had a limited understanding of the different techniques I could use to sew my bags together. After days and weeks of working on the bags, it was a stroke of luck when I met one of my uncles at a ceremony happening in my house. He discovered my quest project through word of mouth within my family. He also found out that I was struggling to do my quest at home due to my limited resources. I was overflowing with gratitude when he offered me to borrow the sewing machine he had in his boutique. I remember it vividly. It was a turning point in my quest journey. I can now work on my sewing skills both at home and in school. Today, I prepared a mini fashion show for all of you to show the bags that I have created. Well, I hope you enjoyed the mini fashion show I've prepared. A few days later, I also started selling my first batch of bags at the farmer's market and continued selling them from then. Not too long after that, I also started my own Instagram dedicated to my project, NeoStart. There, I used it as a marketing platform and also a way of people to question product availability. Far in this quest journey, I have come to realize all of the things I have learned from quest in general. Although it is nerve-wracking and stressful sometimes, if you really are passionate about it and put your overall effort, the end result will never disappoint. At least that's what your quest teacher would tell you. From quest, I also learned and become more aware about gender inequality and human trafficking, and how people are stepping in action to prevent others from experiencing this hard, agonizing action. My original plan was to raise over 1 million rupiah for Rumah Faye. From all of the bags and donations that I've received, I have raised over 800,000 rupiah to donate to Rumah Faye. And although at the end of the day, I didn't really reach my end goal, I'm pretty sure that 800,000 is worth of something for Rumah Faye. In conclusion, I would like to break down the meaning behind my project, the name of my project, Neo Start. Neo is a combining form meaning new, recent, revived, and modified, while start meaning to begin or to be reckoned from a particular point, time, or space. If combined, these two words create Neo Start, meaning new beginning, a new start, because this quest project is a new start for me, helping to make a small change to help Rumah Faye. This quest project has opened a brand new chapter in my life that will continue to guide me in the forward odyssey of my life. Now, I would like to use this time to thank all of my quest teachers, especially Ibu Laura, Ibu Angie, and Ibu Preni, for always supporting me and helping me throughout my journey. To all of my friends for always being there. And lastly, my grandfather, because without his story, my quest would have not been as great as it is today. Thank you.